And there's a lot of talk about, Aaron has to trust them, and great quarterbacks have to be able to trust their wide receiver. And there is no relationship in the NFL better than you and Davante. So Davante getting that record, and you said he's the best football player you've ever played with. Connor said, whoa, kind of a shot at A.J. Hawk a little bit. But, that is obviously what Connor thinks there. Is that back shoulder to Davante whenever, however, against anybody? Is that what it feels like? Because there was a couple throws. It was like, there is nothing anybody on the Browns could do. There was literally nothing. Is that just because of the years and years of reps, or what do you think it is?
Is that why AJ's not on the broadcast today? Because he's about that comment. He's boycotting the show.
He actually texted Connor to bring it up because it'd be bad for his brand to bring it up himself. So he said, fucking let Connor say this, and then Pat break the news to Aaron, and then I'll be back tomorrow. I'll get over it, I guess, like he beat COVID, by the way. Hey, congrats to him. He beat COVID. He's doing his thing. But, what is it about your connection with Davante you think that makes it so special? Because that is just an any time. Yeah, I think it, and we don't know what plays are being called, but it looks like there's a lot of just like, fuck it, Davante. And you guys have that ability to do it. What makes it so special, you think? Why and how?
Well, it's a combination of his incredible ability within the concepts and then his creativity outside of kind of the paper football, the football that's, that's not the real football, the football that's kind of drawn on paper when you install plays. Then there's the creativity that he adds to certain concepts. And it's him and I just being on the same page. The back shoulder run solution that we hit goes back to a conversation 3 plays earlier where he said, hey, I think I can get this run solution on him because he's playing off coverage on me. I called a run play in that situation. He had a run solution on, and he took the fade. And the cool thing is talking to him afterwards, him and I just being on the same page intuitively. He said, I knew you were coming my way.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's something that, we haven't hit that specific throw since I think you got to go back to 17 or 18 at Minnesota against Xavier Rhodes. I hit him on a similar thing. That ball in that game was a more difficult catch. He kind of caught it behind his body and got in the end zone. It was a primetime game. Might have been the first time that U.S. Bank opened. And so we haven't hit that specific type of throw since then, but he just knew in the moment for whatever reason, and I kind of was coming to him the entire way. The ball was coming his way. But the touchdown that he had when they brought empty pressure was probably the play that I enjoy the most because I've had great relationships with receivers on the field over the years, and Jordy always felt like I could throw too blindly, just because I knew exactly where he was going to be. And Randall and I were able to mind meld in that way where I could just look at him and he would know exactly what I wanted. I'd give him a subtle signal that might be not a specific thing to do, and he would run exactly what I was hoping he would do. And in that situation, as Davante down there on the goal line, they brought empty pressure, and before the snap, I was looking over him, and he had a route that we call against 2 high safeties, where you kind of attack the mic and then climb. And it's a route that everybody around the league runs. We called it a trail for a long time. Now it's called a Joe in this offense. And I looked at him, and based on the coverage, running that route wouldn't have worked. Because if he had inside released, his defender could just squeeze down because it was man-to-man empty. He was playing inside leverage, and it would have been a dead route. And I almost signaled him something that I wanted. But I kind of looked over at him, and he looked at me, and just in that moment, I knew exactly what he was going to do and that there was absolutely no need to cloud any of our judgments and give him a signal. And sure enough, he freelanced on his own, went up, made a move on the guy, and it was it looks like an easy touchdown pass where there's so much mentally going on before the snap, and there's so many years of banked reps and trust that goes into that specific split-second decision to not signal anything. Whatever look that he was giving me made me feel completely confident that he was going to do exactly what he did. And, then you have what looks like a really easy touchdown that actually goes back to years and years and years of conversations and plays in the field and banking those memories in your mind in order for him to make that decision and me to trust he was going to do that.
Isn't that like the perfect depiction of what that record is, though? It's almost like the 66th touchdown being you two looking at each other and sending mental vibes to each other. And then for the record breaker for the most touchdowns between a quarterback and a receiver in Packer history, or maybe, I don't know all the records. I should have done more due diligence. We're learning every single day. I don't do enough. But that's like a perfect depiction, isn't it, of what you and Davante are? And is that why the intricacies of that play you just broke down. Like, well, he hits the mic, then he climbs, and there's 0, it's cover 2. We look at each other. Every single play is like that for you? Is it every single play there's always some sort of dissect happening? And is that the difference between guys like you and guys that play 1 year, 2 years of bad football? You think that is like the difference level between the football IQ of the quarterbacks, the greats, and then the ones that don't really make it?
I mean, I think there's definitely something to that. I think the guys that can separate themselves are guys who can either make subtle adjustments or make things work in the moment that might not be exactly how it's drawn on the paper or how it's supposed to go. I think when you run robotic systems or have players who can only run what I call paper football, like what it looks like on paper, you're limited in the ability of your play caller to match up the call with the defensive call. And I think some of the best play callers have been able to do it for a long time and don't need a lot of adjustments. But there's time and a place, and that's what I always talked about, and that's what I was really saying when Matt came in, and there was all that hullabaloo about, audibles and all this other BS. And I just said, when you have years of experience and bank reps and muscle memory and an incredible recall, why would you not want to use that in those moments to take a play that's an okay play and make it a great play? To take a play that might be a throwaway on paper football and turn it into a touchdown and a tide-turning play. And I think the best players are able to make those subtle adjustments and to have those conversations. And I really feel like that's where you win football games. And that's where those plays come up. It's not in the moment or freelancing or going outside the system. It's that we've had conversations about specific situations over the years and what type of route would work best in those situations. And Davante and the best players I've had will actually initiate conversation and say, hey, if we get this situation, a la the Minnesota game a few weeks ago, when they brought empty pressure in that situation, and he did something that I hadn't seen before. He did a double move from the slot and went down the sidelines. I kind of stutter-stepped Everson and threw it to the corner and hit him for a touchdown to pull us back even in that game. It's those conversations that goes back, months, even years at times, and the ability to recall those in the moment when you see a specific look. And that takes you from being a robotic paper football player to being someone who can instinctually make the proper plays in those important moments.